I'm often asked, why do I buy these scooters all the time, or what's the big attraction for them? But simply, a quick answer would be that I just really enjoy riding them. They sort of turn me on a bit. I get the thrill of going along with that twist and go application, and they're just a fun, easy ride. And I think that stems back to the early days, or should I say when I was around about 15, when I purchased my first one. And when that took place, I bought a 50cc Honda step-through for, believe it or not, $50 in Sydney at the time. And in those days, the story was, like, if you want to go and get up a good deal, go to Sydney, because, locally there wasn't much available here in those days. And more importantly, if you're going after a car and brought one back, they'd be classed as, where'd you get that rust bucket? So that's how it went in the cars, but in the bikes, naturally rust wasn't a real issue there. It was just a better deal down that way. And I think at the time I was only about 15 or 16, and that was a good place to start when you were waiting to get to that 16 or 9 months to get your oil plates. So my first one was a Honda 50 step-through, and the big trouble getting it was the easy part, but the harder part was getting out there and finding a place to ride it. So naturally, if you're caught around town riding without a licence, well, that'd ruin you for your chances when you're ready to get a licence. And I was fairly friendly with the local property owner about, 6 mile, 10 k's out of town. And he said I could bring the scooter out there and ride around his property. He never had a really big property, about 800 acres. But compared to later on some of the properties I went on around here, which were 5 and 10,000 acres, it was fairly small in that line. But more importantly, I had the free run of that place to get out there and ride it, me and a mate, wherever we wanted to. And he actually bought a scooter himself, I think it was at the time, and but he sort of never stayed in the field very long, where in the end I think one of my brothers bought his scooter and we all used to ride it then around those paddocks there. But I found that little Honda step-through fun, and when you like to look back what you did 55 years ago, something to that effect, well, you would say to yourself, they were good times then. And I find that as you get older, you like to do a trip back in time and go back to the early days, or you should more say when you were a kid, because I think they were more fun, carefree days. And, that's why the attraction come to scooter from one of those, because after that one I went to a Honda 250 Dream, which wasn't a dream to own, so that wasn't a really good hit. Then after that, a Honda CB 175 Twin, with twin carbies on it, and like a few other ones like that. But back to the scooter side of it, I just like the part that they're nice and light. This one only weighs, I think, around about 130 kilos. They're easy to toss around. They swing around the corners all right, even though this is the brand new bike I'm on at the moment. The fact is, it appears for 155cc to have a fair bit of go. So at this stage, this is my first time out on a bike in 2 months, so I would have to say I wasn't 100% in the coordination stakes, because, you get a bit rusty if you have a bit of a break and you get back out, and especially on the brand new bike. So this was sort of an interesting ride out, and I enjoyed the experience. But I think the best thing about these scooters, and this is the part I keep going back to, it's just nice on that twist and go, and surprisingly, for a 155cc bike putting out 15 horsepower, weighing 130 kilos, it's a great little ride, or it appears to be a great little ride, and it runs along all right. I was sitting on, literally running in, only about 50 kilometres an hour, and it was just doing it ever so easy. Where if you look back in the old days when I had that Honda 50 step-through, I think that was near the end of its run at that speed, so where this one does it, very easy. Plus, this one's got the dual-channel ABS, and it's traction control too. So everything's on it, and I think the experience of riding a scooter is a lot better than what you think. And if you're here for the first time thinking this is my only ride, no, it's not the case. I've got quite a few rides. Apart from this one, there's 4 other ones there. But I do favour the more lightweight bikes now compared to earlier on when I was hanging around the heavier weight ones, simply because I think as you get older, your muscle mass can't handle what it could earlier, and you just find it not as hard on the limbs and that when you're riding around on a lot of bike where you can just toss it around, especially if you can get out there. It really doesn't matter what you got. You know, if you got something like, you know, if you're happy on a 650 or 1,000 cc's, well, that's good for you. And, you know, it's all about enjoyment on the ride. But I honestly can't get back onto one of these little scooters and ride it and say, what a heap of crap, because I actually enjoyed the experience, and I think a lot of others do. This particular one rides pretty well too, so that's another advantage too. And if you're wondering what it is at the moment, the bike I'm on now is a 2024 NMAX. In here, I think they call them version 2.1, 155 cc's, and they're about $6,000 right away. So if you say, does there much differ with this compared to the old days when you're riding our Honda going back all that long ago? Well, this one here is belt drive, where the other one was chain drive. So it's, you know, a lot smoother and that. And I think later on, once I get out there and run this bike in and give her its workout that way, you know, I'll have to put it out on the road after I do a few kilometres around town and just see how it sits on 80 kilometres an hour. But by the throttle response at the moment, I think riding this scooter, you know, would push me up. I couldn't see a problem with running along at 100 kilometres an hour, so that'd be all right, because there's a lot of bikes out there that struggle to get that speed anyway. But that's only a guess at this stage. You know, I won't know till I get out there and give her a bit of a workout. But I do like the experience, and if you're in the market and you're thinking of buying a scooter and you're just unsure whether to go scooter or motorcycle, don't rule out a scooter, because they are lots of fun. And after a while, you get used to the just twist and go, and you've got double levers at the front, one for the front, one for the back brake. And, you know, like the best thing about the modern day scooters compare bikes of old. Like I said, who would have thought at 155 cc's you'd have naturally dual channel ABS, which is compulsory everywhere nearly now. But more important, you got the traction control. And see this learner pull out in front of me here, and all of a sudden he'll pull up and he'll want to reverse back. Now I'm right on his tail, and he decides, and he's under instruction too from a driving instructor. So how, I mean, what a mistake there when you check that one out. Like, that could have been disastrous. The driving instructor should have been looking straight in that mirror and saying, you got a car behind you, keep going, especially on the wet track, because it is raining now. So that was a bit of a boo-boo, I thought, on that. And I'm doing 43 kilometres now. I reckon he was doing over 50 a lot there when he did with that learner, so he's probably speeding too. So that bit aside, the main thing is, I'm planning to get out and doing a few runs on this little bike. But, you know, if you're in the market and you want to buy a scooter and you wonder what they're like, I can highly recommend them. And I'd like to get this one out here and do some long runs and do a couple of coffee breaks out along the road too, and get into it that way. And, you know, then work my way through the other bikes too. So if you like what's going on at the moment, thanks for tuning in. And I hope you found this little bit of enjoyable on my first clip out after 2 months. And because I've had that bit of a chest infection problem, today I'm wearing a heated jacket, so it worked all right too. So everything aside, hope you enjoyed this, and I will catch up with you on the next clip. Oh yeah, and before you go, when I put up my playlist, don't worry about going to the description. Just go to the end of the clip and then you'll find the playlist links there. Those ones work, but apparently because I load all my stuff from a desktop, it doesn't work that way, and people have been mentioning they can't get through. So if you want to get it, go in that direction, straight to the end of the clip, and you'll see a playlist of previous bikes. In fact, I might put a couple on this one too. So cheers for now.